The whole SAG-AFTRA thing has been, how long has it been going for now, Grae? Over 100 days?
Yeah, almost. I would say almost half a year, or maybe not, but maybe 2/3, 2/3
Okay.
of. Yeah, around 3 to 4 months, I believe.
Yeah. So the reason why I brought it up, so I was working early this week, and then we have a Slack channel, and then someone posted up on the general topics, and I'm like, video games possible strike. What the hell is happening? So the reason why I brought that up is because this article comes to us from Deadline. So this comes to us from Deadline, and it says the title says, or the headline says, SAG-AFTRA gears up for possible strike against video game industry as board approves authorization vote by guild membership. So
Okay.
what the hell is happening, man?
Oh boy!
Holy shit! Like,
Go for it.
I don't know, Grae. What do you think about this?
Because it's a little bit more complex with video games. Which roles in particular? I don't think it's the developers per se. Is it the voice actors? I would think is the
I don't
video game
know.
voice.
It could be, I don't know, the writers, the voice actors.
I think that's too vague. I don't think it's like the director of the game. It's like it's so weird for them to do that, in my opinion. If it's like voice actors or musicians, stuff like that, not really directly to the visuals or directing the game itself.
Well, the thing is, there are some dumbasses in the gaming industry that I work in the gaming industry, so I know this first and foremost, and firsthand. There are some idiots in there. It's like, oh, we should unionize. Look, I understand that you should unionize for some specific reasons, but like I said before, if you unionize with the gaming industry, a lot of companies and projects will go under. And we're going to talk about a company that went under earlier this week. So let's go ahead and read this. SAG-AFTRA has been on strike against the film and scripted TV productions since July 14th, is now gearing up for another possible strike. This one against the video game industry. The guild's last strike against the gaming companies in 2016-2017 lasted 183 days. The guild's national board has voted unanimously to send a strike authorization vote to members in preparation for its upcoming bargaining dates with 10 signatory video game companies. Voting for strike authorization will begin on September 5th and end on September 25th. I don't know.
I'm so confused. So are they looking for strike? Because you mentioned the voice actors, the writers. Is it voice actors and writers that they're looking to strike, or is it who's striking?
I don't know.
We're all kind of lost in this article.
Yeah, let's see. All right, let's continue. Here we go again, said SAG-AFTRA president Fran Drescher. Now our interactive video game agreement is a stalemate too. Once again, we are facing employer greed and disrespect. Once again, artificial intelligence is putting our members in jeopardy of reducing their opportunity to work. And once again, SAG-AFTRA is standing up to tyranny on behalf of its members. The overlap of these two SAG-AFTRA contracts, she said, is no coincidence, but rather a predictable issue impacting our industry as well as others all around the world. A disease of greed is spreading like wildfire, ready to burn workers out of their livelihoods and humans out of their usefulness. We at SAG-AFTRA say no, not on our watch. The 10 companies facing possible strikes are Activision Productions Incorporated, Blindlight, Disney Character Voices, EA Productions, Epic Games, Formosa Interactive, Insomniac Games, Take-Two Productions, VoiceWork Productions, and WB Games. Yeah, so I think you're right, Grae. I believe it's voice acting and probably even mocapping.
Okay.
Well-known gamer and gamer advocate Fran Drescher.
Isn't she like 60, like 68 or something?
I love when these union and look, there's people that we both like and admire who are trade unionists, right? But when trade unionists like her, she's kind of the head of AFTRA, starts talking about reducing opportunities for workers, nothing reduces opportunities for workers more than trade unions. Okay? That's just a fact. So it's simple economics. You make something more expensive and harder to get, there's less of it. So if hiring people for a certain job is going to be way more expensive and you're going to be able to hire fewer, guess what? Fewer jobs. So for anyone who's in a union to say, well, you're costing us opportunities. No, you're costing union members opportunities. You're not costing workers. There's actually a lot of opportunity out there right now with a decentralized, deregulated video game industry. And all you got to do is look in Steam and look at how many independent productions are just cranking out games.
Yeah, there's a ton of game on
Yeah,
Steam.
insane. It's insane.
That
It's
goes
a lot.
away if it becomes unionized. It goes, and
Yeah.
everyone talks about, oh, I hate EA, I hate Activision, these big bloodless, soulless corporations. That's true. They are bloodless and soulless, and they are big, and that's all they'll be if it's unionized.
Yeah. All right. Let's continue. Audrey Cooling, a spokesperson for the video game company, said, well, we all want a fair contract that reflects the important contributions of SAG-AFTRA represented performers in an industry that delivers world-class entertainment to billions of players around the world. We are negotiating in good faith and hope to reach that mutually beneficial deal as soon as possible. So I'm gonna stop right there. Before, I would say prior to COVID, I think the video game industry was pretty big, but it's nowhere near as big as it is now. Grae, I'm not sure if you know this or people in the chat. How much money is the video game industry worth?
Ooh, that's a good question.
I would say it's not that far off from trillions because it's the number one entertainment industry now. It's more than movies, it's more than TV shows, it's more than music. It's number one. So it wouldn't surprise me if it's like, or maybe it's already trillions, but I think it's really high billions.
Yeah, I would say it's a $1 trillion industry at this point.
Okay. So this was 3 days ago. In 2020, due to revenue from worldwide gaming market was estimated at 347 billion USD.
Oh.
With mobile gaming marketing generating 248 billion.
Oh, that is okay.
Yeah,
I'm not
so
sure if I like that, but yeah.
What game came out in late 2020 that basically covered the entire video game? It was fucking huge. Genshin Impact.
Yeah, I was gonna say Genshin Impact.
Genshin Impact, I believe, they reached their first billion within like 2 months or like a month or some shit like that. They got so much fucking money. It's insane. So I'm pretty sure back then the SAG-AFTRA folks are like, oh, we don't fucking care. It's because they didn't make that much money. But now they're like, holy shit, this is one of the biggest industries and we're not tapping into that shit. So we need some of that video game money. That's how I feel, man. Yeah, but it does suck. I do agree with you, Grae, that it's more than like about 60% of it is mobile gaming.
Yeah, that's the reality of it. If you compare the two business models, like back how we used to make games, like just make a good game, it'll pay, versus microtransaction riddled free to play games, it's really in terms of profitability, it's really the dominating business model in terms of profits. But in terms of how games as an art form of how good a game is, yeah, it's really inferior. But this is the world we live in.
Yeah. What are your thoughts, Dan?
I tend to think there's two different groups, though. Even now, like, my wife will give me crap for all the time I play spending video games. And I say, well, you spend just as much time as I do playing video games. Like, no, I don't. And it's like, yes, you do. You're on your phone doing your stupid little bejeweled whatever. And she's like, well, that doesn't count. But, to me, that counts. But there is a difference between people who are gamers, like you doing, Grae and Phil doing live streams on Twitch of actual like AAA games versus someone who's, sitting around on their phone and doing matching. It's what's great about mobile games, I would say economically, is that you're tapping into an entire market of people who don't really consider themselves gamers, but you're getting them to pay for these games. I don't think they're the same exact groups. I know there's overlap, but I think when we talk about gamers and gaming, Gary from Nordrotic is not a real gamer, not because he plays a bunch of mobile games. He just doesn't play any games at all, So it actually
was the best Gollum player.
I don't know if he's even played Gollum, but I was watching when Az was trying to coach him through. Oh God, he did. When Az was coaching him through Witcher, I was just, my head was in my hands and I'm laughing. It was wonderful to watch.
Yeah. The thing people underestimate is, as you mentioned, Bejeweled, Candy Crush. those things actually make more money than Call of Duty.
Yeah.
A lot that people don't know that. They
And
make a ton more money than Call of Duty.
I can imagine again because you're tapping into people, which is the percentage of people who are gamers, like I mean us, and then people who are just normies. Normies will always be a bigger group, and if you can tap that group, which is I think what mobile games do, then yeah, you're gonna make a ton of money.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I think the concern is like because of how much more profitable the normies make for these companies, they try to adapt that same model to the AAA games.
Yep.
That's what's
Yeah.
happening. That's the issue. I mean, I get what you're saying that yeah, they're completely different group, but because the business model is so profitable, like I think a good example is Diablo Immortal, right? It's getting a lot of shit, but it's making probably up to now, it's still making
Yeah,
2
it's
million
still
a day.
making money, which is crazy.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. All right, let's continue. Let's see. Quote, it has been nearly a year since SAG-AFTRA's video game contract, the interactive media agreement, was extended beyond the original expiration date as we negotiated with the companies for critical terms SAG-AFTRA members need. The guild said in a statement, quote, unfortunately, throughout the negotiations, the companies have failed to address those needs. For this reason, the negotiating committee and the national board unanimously agreed that the union should have a member-approved strike authorization in the hand when bargaining resumes on September 26th, which is later this month. Although key issues like wages and that keep up with the inflation and protections against unrestrained use of artificial intelligence are common sticking points in negotiations. The interactive media video game agreement is a separate contract from the TV, theatrical, and streaming contracts against which SAG-AFTRA members are currently striking. Work under the video game contract includes a great deal of performance capture. We train professionals, many of whom are stunt performers, provide digitally captured performances used to give expressive movements to video game characters. And of course, this is a 100% because everything, I think everything in Baldur's Gate 3 is mocapped, including the romance sex scenes are also mocapped. So it does make sense where we actually use a lot of those stunt doubles or those people that actually are employed or are contracted under SAG to come in because they know exactly what they're doing. Let's see. Unregulated use of AI poses an enormous threat. Are an enormous threat to these artist professions. And in addition, AI protections and SAG-AFTRA says it's seeking the same wage increases for video game performers as for those who work under the film and television contracts. 11% retroactive to expiration and 4% increases in the second and third years of the agreement necessary for members' wages to keep up with inflation. All right, I'm going to stop there. But man, do you think this is going to go anywhere?
For me, I don't
Grae,
think
what
so.
do you think?
If it's mocap, I don't think they're as irreplaceable as they think they are. They can always get someone else, in my opinion. I mean, if they have the athletic build, I think they can pull it off. And yeah, I think this has been low key going on for a while, especially in the voice acting department, because like especially in I play since I make JRPG videos in my personal channel. I've noticed Square Enix going on the trend. I already talked about this before. It's like it's been it used to be their voice actors from the US. You can tell by their accent. But in their more modern games for the past like half a decade or a decade, it's all been like British or from Ireland. So it's like it's like I think the prices of studios in the US have been more expensive. It's been increasing, has been raising so high that Square's Enix is like, no, we'll just get people from the UK or from Ireland. Then you notice even Final Fantasy 16, right? They're like European in accent. So yeah, I think I don't know. It's eventually I think it's gonna run dry too for these actors. Yeah, I'm still leaning more to the corporations and studios gonna win in the end.
What about you, Dan? How do you feel?
Yeah, well, Dave's in the chat, and he said basically what I agree with is that all it's going to do is stifle U.S. development. It's wonderful for Fran Dresser, the noted video game archivist and scholar, to say that we're going to get mocap people and stunt guys and actors to be under contract. All that's going to do is going to do what studios have already been doing this entire time, which is outsourcing. And it's not just about our studios outsourcing. The fact is the technology and the software, all these things are accessible to a much lower economic degree, so that pretty much games can be made anywhere in the world, and they don't have to follow any of this stuff. So what you're going to get is companies in foreign countries just outproducing the U.S. when it comes to games, and U.S. no longer becomes the juggernaut of games. And every time U.S. does produce a game, it's going to be really expensive and it's going to be crap. And meanwhile, you're going to have a dozen games come out of South Korea, a dozen games out of the Philippines, a dozen games out of Sri Lanka. Everyone's just going to outcompete us. So I'd like to say it's not going to go anywhere, but given the society and the economic illiteracy of the people in power right now, they could just shoot us all in the face and not even realize that they did it. And most people who got shot in the face wouldn't even realize they did it either. They'd be like, "Oh, where'd this hole come from? Oh, it must be Trump."
Yeah.
Yeah, and if you check the list of those companies in that article, all US companies. All US the thing with the gaming industry is it's much more global compared to, let's say, like Hollywood. Like it's examples like we talk about woke Hollywood a lot, but people don't really transition to like Asian content right away. They don't jump to Japanese content right away. But for the games industry, it's far more malleable. Like for one day we play a Japanese game, the next day we're playing a European game, then the following day it's a US game. People are far more malleable. So yeah, it wouldn't surprise me if it'll hurt the US the game development companies faster, actually, because of the state of the industry.
Yeah, and speaking from firsthand experience working in the gaming industry, gaming industries has started to outsource everything now. You know, like it started with animation, right? It started with animation. Animation is just it's too expensive to spend a lot of animation here, so we're gonna outsource that to South Korea, China, Philippines, or wherever, and even places like Bardell with that's in Canada. They outsource all of that. But now video games are starting to outsource that too, is because it's so much cheaper, right? So let's say instead of paying a person $100,000 in-house to do animation, we're going to pay outsourcing to do that, and it only takes $2,000, right? It's so much cheaper. It's, you know, they're either going to somehow open up a studio in a different location, or you know, if they are going to hire talent in that location, for instance, if they're open up a location in Brazil, right? Open up a location in Brazil. It's still going to be part of the main studio. It's not an outsourcing. It's some more like insourcing, and then they just hire way cheaper talent in Brazil versus hiring people here in the States. It's because it's so much. Instead of giving a person $100,000 to do something, you're only giving them 50. It's because they don't have any experience or anything like that. So it's already happening.
Yeah, when game development started to take off here in the Philippines, too bad I already graduated by then, but the company that was heavily supporting that university is Ubisoft. So there are Ubisoft offices here already. Like it's like, I'm not sure which segment we are in the Philippines, but you're gonna see Philippines in the credits. Like they contribute to the big games like Assassin's Creed and their other lineup. So yeah, it's true.
It just makes economic sense. I mean, that's one thing again, I talk a lot of economics because that's kind of where that's my thing. And for people who are trade unionists, how does it not behoove a company to try to make a profit? Right now, if you're going to increase the price of doing business in this country, they're just going to go somewhere else. Unions can only thrive if, first of all, you need a successful industry, and you need a quasi-monopoly. You need like one or two or three big companies. Maybe an oligopoly is the right word, right? That's the only time you can have a successful union. Games is not that environment. There is no centralization. There is no, it can only be done here. It can only be done. No, it is a global thing that anyone can do. So you can't build a wall and keep people in like North Korea. You have to understand that this is a global marketplace. So unions, I think, or at least people who believe in trade unionism, they always seem to miss that idea. That they think that, if I have a union, then my job's protected. No, because we have options. The companies have options. They don't have to be here. They don't have to be in your town. They don't have to be in your state. And so you have to be very careful about how hard you push them. And they will simply just go somewhere else.
Thanks for checking out this segment of the Project Eggroll podcast. If you like what we do here, please like, share, subscribe, hit the notification bell, and you will know next time when we go live. We do go live every Saturday at 8 p.m. Once again, we are just getting started. Tons of more video to come. Thanks, and we'll see you guys next time.